Hey, friends, welcome back for another episode. Let's get into today's topic 10 essential strategies for entrepreneurs on how to overcome challenges, setbacks, and losses. I don't know about you, but life has been lifing, and I need a little bit of direction because sometimes your girl be wanting to give up. And as I was sitting here working on a presentation that I had for next week on creative resilience and how to bounce back stronger after setbacks, it sparked another conversation that I wanted to have, which is strategies we need to have when overcoming challenges, setbacks, and losses. I want to get into creative resilience today. So, as entrepreneurs, it's a challenging journey. If I would have known this when I started out my entrepreneur path, I probably would not have done it if I would have known how much work it actually would take for me to build, grow, and scale a business. As entrepreneurs, we face numerous obstacles that can hinder our success when building, growing, and scaling our businesses, whether you're dealing with a financial crisis, a dip in sales, changes in the market, changes in family dynamics, loss of friendship, or the loss of a loved one. It's essential to have a plan in place for how to overcome these hurdles. I know I certainly could have used one a few years ago. When you don't have a plan in place to allow for life to happen, it makes your mountain unmovable. And that got me to thinking, what mountains are we unable to move because we don't have the right tools in place to help us navigate through these things? And so today I'm going to be sharing 10 essential strategies to help you overcome challenges, setbacks, and losses so you can go from surviving to thriving when life happens. And earlier, I talked about, different things like financial crisis, dips in sales, changes in the market, and stuff like that. All of those are losses, right? And from those losses, if you ever heard me mention about grief, grief is the change in the familiar, right? And so sometimes when we're experiencing these losses, we're not actually grieving those parts of our life or our parts of our business that have changed. The seasons have changed with them, and we have unresolved grief from them. And sometimes we don't know how to process that, and it becomes compound because we're dealing with loss after loss after loss, and we're not dealing with that unresolved grief. The grief is the emotions that are tied to the thing that happened, right? Like if we got a dip in sales, you may be feeling some kind of way, right? Insert whatever you feel, right? A change in the market, right? It's slow season for everybody. Like no matter what industry it is, and the people that I've been talking to and encountering, there's one common theme. It's slow for everybody. It's a change in the market. It's a dip in sales. It's a financial crisis, right? And so, but what do you do when you encounter those things? And so, it's been hard if I'm being honest with you. It's been hella slow, and I'm so glad that I'm meeting more people who are open and honest and talking about it, because sometimes we can get in our head and make it think it's a us thing when it's not. And so I'm so glad to be having more of these conversations. The reality of it is the industries are changing, and we have to change with them and learn how to adapt and flow. So when I just talked about, like, you know, when life happens and making your mountain unmovable, what mountain needs to be moved in your life? And so I love being able to use analogies. So I'm going to run with the mountain analogies today and metaphors today. So I hope that you track with me because I'm excited about just the little things I'll be talking about today. So let's get into strategy number 1, charting your path, right? And what this means is just having a clear vision and mission. Having a clear vision and mission is crucial to the success of your business, especially during times of loss. A clear vision helps you stay focused on your end goal, while a mission statement enables you to communicate your values and purpose to your customers and employees. When faced with challenges, referring to your vision and mission can help you make decisions that align with your goals and values. And this is essential, right? Because sometimes we lose sight of what it is that we're doing when life happens. We forget that we got a path ahead and nothing or no one can stop that. But when you lose sight of your mission and your vision, you sometimes forget. It causes you to become discouraged. It causes you to face disappointment when you don't remember keep your eyes on the prize. So here's an action item for this strategy that I want you to do. So grab your pen and piece of paper or note section in your phone real quick. So the action item for this strategy of charting your path, having a clear vision and mission, is to draft your own vision and mission statement and let that be your map guiding every step you take upwards. Okay? No matter what, even if it's a stumbling block, you're going to turn that stumbling block into a stepping stone, and it's going to keep moving you upwards. You may stop and stumble along the way, but you keep moving forward, right? Keep your eye on the vision and the mission ahead. Okay, number 2, the second strategy is forming your expedition team. And simply that means building a strong support system. You definitely need a strong support system when you encounter those mountains in your life. Building a solid support system is vital to the success of any entrepreneur. I want you to surround yourself with people who believe in you, your vision, and your business. This can include friends, family, mentors, advisors, and peers in your industry. Having a solid support system can help you navigate challenges and setbacks and provide the emotional support you need to stay motivated and resilient when healing through the grief of a loss. And remember what I talked about earlier, like the loss from just the changes in life and business, right? So that's the grief of the loss that I'm talking about. When I talk about grief, I'm not just talking about like death and divorce. That's what we commonly associate grief with, but it's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than that. Oh my gosh, it is more than that. And I want you guys to be okay with really tapping into your emotional headspace when it comes to any type of loss that you're facing, any kind of change that you're navigating. It's going to help you move through these life happening experiences a lot quicker. If you ignore the feelings, all you're doing is compounding, and then you're going to explode, and we don't want you to explode. So for building a strong support team, here's the action I want you to take. I want you to identify at least 3 individuals this week who can join your support expedition team. This could look like mentors, industry peers, or advisors. Okay? Identify at least 3 individuals who will be a part of your support system. Strategy number 3, marking milestones. This looks like defining and prioritizing your goals. Defining your goals and prioritizing them based on their importance and impact on your business. Make a plan to achieve your goals and break them down into manageable steps. And this is one of my favorite ways to break down goals. I do this all the time with my clients. It really helps them to be able to see what is possible for them. Of course, we want to have the big picture, but we also want to break it down to make sure we can even get to the picture. I want you to be able to refer to your plan often to stay on track during challenging times. An excellent practice to develop this is to do this monthly or quarterly. And I'm actually getting ready to do this with my clients this weekend. I have a quarterly clarity retreat, and we're working on this exact same thing. We're getting ready to plan for Q2, and we are breaking it down to quarterly so that we can break down what it is we need to focus on for the next 12 weeks. I am a big 12-week year person. So I love being able to break down things quarterly so that I can see small wins along the way. So when you know your plan in advance, you really have the flexibility to pause things or hand them off and delegate them to other people to help you execute them. So this is probably one of my favorite strategies right here. And it helps me to see the milestones along the way and know that what I'm doing is actually working, and I don't have to take a big bite of the pie. I can just take it in small bites. So your action item for marking milestones is to select your top 3 goals for the next quarter. I then want you to break these down into actionable milestones with deadlines. And one of the ways I'm doing this with my clients this weekend at the Clarity Retreat is we are going to look at, I like to do a big brain dump, right? We look at the big brain dump, and then we go through and we categorize it, and then we go and order it in terms of priority. because everything you have in your head don't need to be done right now. But I want you to get it out of your head so you can focus on the things that you need to focus on right now. Okay. And that is a technique that I use to coach my clients through that I wanted to share with you all too, especially as you start to get ready for Q2. So I hope that you take that and it's useful for you in helping you break down all the things. All the things don't have to be done right now. Okay, strategy number 4, learning from the climb. This is where we're going to be embracing failure as a learning opportunity. Challenges, setbacks, losses, and failures are inevitable parts of our entrepreneurial journey. And I'm going to go ahead and add in our life too. Embracing them as a learning opportunity is essential. I want you to analyze what went wrong and what you can do differently the next time. Use this knowledge to make changes to your strategy or approach and make improvements to your business. And I'm going to whisper, in your life too. Make those improvements in your life, okay? Okay, so remember, every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow. So here's the action item for strategy number 4. I want you to think of a recent challenge. And then I want you to document the lessons learned and strategize how to implement these insights moving forward. I don't believe in losses. I only believe in lessons. So even if it's a loss, it's a lesson for me. And so I want you to think of the challenge as a lesson. What did I learn from this? Now that I know what I learned from this, how can I implement this moving forward so that I can improve? And me doing things like this has helped me to become more self-aware. So I really enjoy doing reflective insights like this. Okay, strategy number 5, adjusting your gear. Be adaptive and open-minded. All right. So the business world is consistently changing. I mentioned that a couple strategies ago, and it's essential to be adaptive and open-minded to stay competitive. Be willing to pivot your strategy or approach if it's not working. And you guys, we get stuck here when things are not working because we try to force it to make something work because we are so determined, like this gotta work, I gotta make this money by tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta make this money by tomorrow. And we force ourselves to fit a circle in a square peg. It's not working. It's time to let it go. Okay? It's time to surrender and let that thing go. Pivot your strategy. Recognize the season you're in. What worked in one season may not work in this season, and it's okay. I promise you it's okay. Don't worry about how it looks to other people, what other people have to say about it. What matters the most is, does this feel good for you? Is this something that you want to do? Is this something that you can still show up confidently in and serve well in? Right? Those are questions you need to ask yourself. Ask yourself, why am I forcing myself to do something that I'm clearly not happy doing, that it does not bring me joy? It's not fulfilling. It's not working. So be open. Be willing to pivot your strategy as many times as you need to, right? Be open to new ideas and perspectives. Having an adaptive and open mind can help you stay ahead of the curve and keep your business thriving. It's nothing staying stuck. It's nothing in staying stuck. The only way for you to get unstuck is to move forward. You've heard me say this before. Clarity is necessary, but there's clarity in the doing. You're not going to get clarity here staying stuck. Of course, you don't know what to do next because you haven't made a move. You do the next best move. And it can be so simple. The next best move might be just send an email to whoever you need to send an email to, right? It may be messaging somebody, asking for help, asking for insight. It may look like reaching out to your friends in your peer circle and saying, hey, I need to do a brainstorming strategy. Anybody free to get on Zoom for a few minutes? I need to talk something out. I need to process some things. That next step may be posting that newsletter, posting that blog post, right? It may be booking that coach. It may be booking that branding strategy session. It may be booking that photography session. It can be anything. The step can be so simple. It may look like organizing your files in your Google Drive. I mean, I can go on and on. Okay. But don't stay stuck here. There's nothing else left for you here. Move forward. Take the next step. There is clarity in the doing. You don't know until you do. And I got a prime example for you. So maybe last week, probably around the second week of March, I felt in my spirit that I needed to start back my newsletter, right? So I started it back. I didn't really know what direction it was going to go. I had put out a newsletter email to my community. And I was very honest, vulnerable, and transparent with them, just saying, hey, I have been just really struggling of what to do with the newsletter and how am I supposed to show up and serve you guys. I really have not gotten clear on that, right? And I have 3 different lists in different places, right? I have a list on Substack. I got a list in my ConvertKit. I got a list from some other things that I've done, like challenges, book club and stuff like that. Like I got lists all over the place and I have been trying to manage them all in some kind of way, right? And just show up in these different places. And I sent out the email and I said, okay, I'm going to do this 12-week series and we just going to see where it goes from there. And I encourage people that, hey, I really don't care if you see my messy middle. We don't really see that enough from people, and being okay with trying things. And if it don't work, I don't mind coming back and saying, hey, this actually don't work. And that's what I did, right? So I put out the newsletter and probably like a couple of days later, I just was like, yo, this don't feel good. The way that I'm doing this doesn't feel good for me. It feels forced, right? I'm doing this because this is the way I've always been taught, but I'm in this season of unlearning. What works for somebody else don't work for everybody, right? And so I'm putting together all these different pieces of a strategy that I've learned over the years and like, oh no, you got to do this. You got to show up in this way. And it's kind of like that doesn't serve me well because I don't feel good showing up in that way, right? Like that really doesn't work for me. And so I'm leaning in this season and I'm bringing people along for the ride and sharing those parts of the messy middle of entrepreneurship. Like you really don't have to keep doing things that don't work for you. Like it doesn't work for me. So what wasn't working for me was I had these 4 different lists all over the place and I was trying to show up at different times in different places for all these lists. And I was like, you know what? Bump that. I'm not doing this no more. I said, this does not feel good for me. It is not something that I can commit to. It's not something that I can be consistent with. But what can I be consistent with? And the only thing that I have been consistent with in the last 6 months is showing up on my Substack consistently, right? And so I said, you know what? I'm about to merge all my lists and I'm bringing everybody over to Substack. Now it's up to the people if they want to stay with me while I'm on Substack. But that is the best place for me because I show up there. I don't feel constricted. I don't feel like I have to fit inside some box. I feel like I could talk about whatever I want when I want, whether it's life, whether it's business, whether it's grief, right? Whether I want to do a podcast episode on there, whether I want to do book club on there, whether I want to just share insights, right? So it's a combination of a lot of different things for me. It's a combination of my blog, my newsletter, my podcast, and even my threads, right? I want to be able, the energy that I bring, like on threads, man, I just feel free to be myself. Like, not that I can't do it in other places. Like with Instagram, I just feel like, I don't know. Ever since threads came on the scene, I was like, oh, I like it here. Like the only 2 places that I've been consistent on social is like with Substack and threads. Like I remember excuse me, for the first 4 weeks, I was posting every day. I had never done that on any other platform. So the fact that I can show up showed me that I like being on platforms where it doesn't feel like it's a lot of rules of how I need to be on a certain platform. Like you got to show up and be this way. You got to show up and be that way. You got to post this many times. You got to do this many things, yada, 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 yada. I'm tired of all the rules, right? I want to post when I want to post. I want to be able to say what I want to say and have freedom in that and not feel the kind of ways. It just was, all the rules was just exhausting. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try one last thing. So I said, you know what? I'm merging all the lists. And even my inactive list, I merged that too. Because I said, everybody can get this. Everybody can get it. And so I just put everybody all together in one list on my Substack. And I gave everybody like a 7-day free trial to check it out and see if it feels good for them in this season. If it feels good for them, then people can hang around for free. But depending on the level of access people want to me, then there's like paid subscription and stuff, which is why I love Substack, because you can monetize that. And what I love about it is I have made it an extension of my podcast, because that way I can have like more deeper conversations. I can, just talk about a variety of things, deeper conversations. I can do things like I'm talking with you all about today. I can do strategy on there, which I love talking about, but I felt like I always had to show up in a certain kind of way in order to deliver that information. And Substack just allows me not to overthink. And that's what I really like about that platform. And it's the perfect platform for me, because one of my goals this year was to move to a platform where I had more control, and that was mine. Like that's, I own that stuff there on Instagram. Just like it what do you call it? It shut down a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, and it shut down for a couple hours, right? I don't want my business to be dependent on one social platform. I don't want to be dependent on, having to inform my audience or talk to my audience or engage with my audience on a platform that is consistently, has moments of when it shuts down. And I don't want to have a business that's dependent on Instagram, right? So I want to create on a platform that's uniquely mine, and Substack fulfills that for me. And so I'm really glad about that. And I'm excited to kind of build out my Substack community, my newsletter community. So I'm really looking forward to that. And so I just wanted to share, like, I had to be willing to pivot my strategy, because my approach that I was using wasn't working. I want to be able to, the other reason why I didn't want to do a traditional newsletter is because I want to be able to talk back with my people, right? I want them to I want conversation. I want to be able to engage in the comments with folks, on posts and things like that. And I can't do that with a traditional newsletter. Like, it's cool, I sent it out, but it ain't no engagement. And obviously the same thing can happen when I go to Substack too. But I have a vehicle for people to like want to comment and talk back, right? And so because I don't get real time like feedback when I do the podcast, it's really hard for me as a creator to know whether or not the content is resonating with people. It really is sometimes very discouraging for me when I don't hear anything, good, bad, or indifferent, because I don't know if I need to keep going in a certain direction with whatever topics, or just free flow and people just be like, okay, I'll take what I need and leave the rest type of thing. So sometimes I struggle with that, because it's like, well, is this content resonating with people? Because if not, then I need to, create the content that's resonating. But if it is, I want to be able to double down and do more of this stuff. So I'm trying to still figure out my style in terms of how I want to do all of these things. But I'm leaning more into what feels good for me, how I want to show up. If I want to coach on a podcast, I can do that like I'm doing right now, because I'm coaching you guys through like 10 strategies. These are strategies I would totally give to my clients that pay for brand strategy. So I like being able to come and create, have conversations, dialogue with people. I love being able to talk through challenges and overcome obstacles, because mainly I just want to help people get clarity so they can move forward and take their next step. But I also like talking about grief and loss too. And so, I'm trying to really find my mix with that, because we grieve every day. We deal with a loss every day, right? No matter if it's big or small. It is just the emotional impact and emotional toll that it has on us that gets us to the point of like saying, oh, I really need to handle my grief today, right? I want to normalize grief, because it is a part of the human experience that we often shy away from, because people don't want to deal with their emotional pain that is tied to the loss. And so, which is why I'm trying to talk more about it in a positive way, in a unique spin, to let everybody know that it is safe to talk about grief. It is safe to express your feelings. It's safe to, communicate your losses. This helps you to identify how you feel around those things, right? And it's a personal navigation system, if I'm being honest. So I love being able to have these types of conversations, but Substack allows me to have those types of conversations and be an extension of the podcast so that I can actually talk to my audience and actually just let's conversate. Let's have some dialogue back and forth. So I'm really excited about the Substack. And with the Substack, it is called the Purpose to Create Collective, which I'm very, very excited about. It's the extension of the Purpose to Create podcast. It just really gives me another way to communicate with my audience. So I say that long old example to say, be willing to pivot your strategy. Okay, so here's the action item for strategy number 5. Your action item here is to review your current strategy. And I want you to identify one aspect that requires you to adapt and be flexible so that you can navigate the change in terrain better, right? We talked about unmovable mountains because we don't have a plan. But what would it look like if you can take your current strategy, adapt it, be flexible so you know how to navigate the mountain that needs to be moved? Okay. Strategy number 6, keeping morale high and cultivating a positive mindset. This is difficult sometimes only because when things are not looking so great, when life is life and you're facing obstacles, challenges, and losses, it is hard to cultivate a mindset. But I hope that these strategies will help you to reframe your thinking around it, okay? So a positive mindset is crucial to the success of any entrepreneur, right? You have to be careful the stories that you tell yourself, the negative seeds that you speak to yourself, and the negative seeds that you allow other people to plant into you based on their commentary, right? I want you to be able to maintain a positive outlook during challenging times and focus on the solutions rather than the problems. Yes, the problems happen. They are there. Okay, I want to acknowledge that. We acknowledge the problem. We acknowledge the challenge. We acknowledge the loss. It happened. But now we need to reframe it and focus on the solution. Okay, I want you to cultivate a mindset that embraces challenges as opportunities to grow, learn, and improve. A positive attitude can help you stay motivated and focused and inspire your team to do the same thing if you have a team that you are working with in your business, right? Obviously, this can apply to life too. So your action item for strategy 6 is to start a daily log of achievements and positive outcomes to keep morale high even when the climb gets tough. Because I promise you, on that mountain, the climb will get tough. The weather will change. The wind will get stronger. But you must keep going, right? Those achievements will help you talk nice to yourself. Say to yourself right now, talk to me nice, right? Talk to yourself nice. Because when you're going through, it's going to help you to be able to push through. So when the climb gets tough, remember all that you have achieved to get to the point where you are now. Okay? Strategy number 7, studying the mountain. This is where you stay informed. So listen, I mentioned earlier how the season is slow, not just for your specific industry, but industries across, different creative platforms and things like that. So listen, the industry constantly evolves, and I want you to remember that. And staying informed about the industry ebbs and flows is essential. Sometimes we forget and we feel like we the only one, but we not. Your people may not tell you, but everybody is going through it, okay? And it's only but for a moment. It's only but for a season. This helps us to use the data to forecast when you will have a peak or a slow season. And especially photographers, right? I'm a photographer. So for those who are listening, you can relate to this. With photography, with any creative profession you have, there are going to be slow seasons and there are going to be peak seasons, right? Right now for photographers, it's slow season, right? But once we get into April, May, and Q2, we about to pick back up. It's about to be back busy season. It's about to be wedding season, engagement season. right? So we know that there's about to be a cash injection coming around Q2, right? So we plan accordingly. And then we go into Q3 and Q4, the beginning of Q4, and we get ready to come to the end of busy season at the end of Q4. So that means that January, February, and March are going to be slow months. You already can predict that now, right? We can predict that. And some people, y'all months is going to change differently. I'm just talking about industry wide and standard. Your months may change based on your industry. But I want you to look and see, go use your data. I just said use the data to forecast when you'll have these peak and slow seasons. Go back through your data. People hate going through their data, but I promise you it's a gold mine of information in your data. It will help you to start knowing when you have more predictable income, so then that way you can plan for slow seasons. You know you're going to have to store up your nuts, just like, the animals do in the wintertime, because they know they about to hibernate. You're going to have to do the same thing with your coins, right? Start saving your money so that when slow season come, you're not feeling the impacts of it. Okay, so the strategy for number 7, staying informed and studying the mountain, is I want you to engage with 2 new sources of industry insights. Depending on your industry, I want you to go look up 2 new sources of industry insights, whether that's through newsletters, podcasts, research papers. This will help you to better predict and prepare for upcoming climbs up that mountain, right? Right now, the mountain is unmovable because we don't have the right tools to climb it. But this will help you better predict and prepare for upcoming climbs. All right, so strategy number 8, building base camps. This is where you develop strong relationships with customers. I want you to develop solid relationships with your customers. This is so vital to the success of your business. And sometimes we overlook that. We overlook the client experience and the customer experience. It's so important, especially when we think about like recurring business, especially during slow peak seasons. This is the importance of the newsletters and the blog posts and all of that stuff, right? You may not know what to talk about, but you are the expert. You have plenty of stuff to talk about. Take your industry and then break down that into categories, right? And then based on those categories, especially if you think about the frequently asked questions that your clients or customers or people who are like in a dating phase of your business trying to figure out if they want to work with you or not, take all the frequently asked questions and create blog posts and newsletters about them and social media posts about them, right? This positions you as the authority in your industry. People don't know what you do until you speak up and say something, right? Say something. Tell people what you do. Of course it's going to be slow if you're not speaking up. Just because it's slow doesn't mean that there's not work to be done. There's always work to be done. But in order to establish yourself as the authority and to establish yourself as the person that you want people to know you as the go-to for whatever your industry is, right? Whether it's a personal brand, whether it's a business, you have to communicate with authority. You have tons of stuff to talk about. Even though you feel like you don't, you do. You're the expert. What is it that people need to know before coming to work with you? Talk about that, right? Talk to the client, the type of client you want to work with. What do they need to know to work with you? What do you want them to do? Right? Okay, cool. So here's the thing. With this action item, here's what I want you to do. This is strategy 8 action item on developing strong relationships with your customers. I want you to introduce a monthly initiative to engage with your customers, right? Or a monthly campaign. Engage with your customers, gathering feedback to ensure your services meet their needs along the journey. But also you want to find out if what they perceive about your business is actually what you are wanting to portray. Is this the brand that you are building? Right? That's why it's important to gather that feedback from your clients, your customers, even from people you do consultations with. You're always gathering data. You're always gathering feedback. It's so important. Even comments that people leave on your posts, that's data. right? That's data. Use those things. If people are asking you questions, flip that into a post, flip that into a blog post, flip that into a newsletter, flip that into a social media post. You guys, this content's for days. I can go on and on, but you guys get the drift. Use your data to your advantage. And don't be afraid to create a monthly campaign. We about to come into Q2. So you guys can create like a series for Q2. You can either, I would say, blog weekly, so you can build that blog or do newsletter or post, whatever. Do it weekly. Whatever you're going to do, commit to it so you can be consistent with it, right? People like consistency. We like consistency in relationships. Clients like consistency in us showing up. Even if it's slow, still show up. Okay? So here's the strategy for strategy number 8. One more time, because I want to make sure that you guys get this. I want you to introduce a monthly campaign, okay, to engage with your customers. You can do it. You got the content. Stop being afraid. Stop being shy. You can do it. People do want to hear what you have to say. That's probably one of the number one things I hear that also keeps people stuck, is that I'm afraid I don't know. I don't know if people want to hear what I have to say. If you got a word on your heart and you have a passion for something you want to talk about, do it. If not for them, you do it for yourself, because it's what you want to do, right? You want to do it. I used to have those same fears. I used to have the fears of my voice doesn't matter. No one wants to hear what I have to say. And I still show up anyway. I may not never know if people are interested in the podcast, right? But I still show up and do it anyway. I may not know if the information is helpful, but I still show up and do it anyway because I enjoy it, right? I enjoy it. I know that my voice matters. Even when I feel like it doesn't, I know that it does. I know that it's helping someone. And so don't let fear keep you stuck and make you feel like your voice doesn't matter and that no one wants to hear what you have to say. We are waiting for you to do the blog post on the thing you want to talk about. We are waiting for you to do the newsletter to inform us about something that is going on. We are waiting for you to do the social media post to encourage someone, to encourage your clients to show up. We are waiting for the social media post for you to call your clients into you and let them know that you're there. They can't find you, right? Because you haven't said anything. And then we wonder why we're slow and we're stuck and we haven't had no forward movement. It's because we're not showing up. We have to do a better job. That's why I said earlier, talk to me nice. And if you got to tell yourself that every day, tell yourself, talk to me nice. Because I have something to say and somebody is going to hear it. I don't know when, but I know they'll hear it. And they will take what they need from it. Okay. Strategy number 9, stabilizing your financial foothold. This is where we're going to prioritize your financial stability. So for this strategy, financial stability is crucial to the success of any business, right? Especially during a challenging time. Create a budget, manage cash flow, and ensure you have a solid financial plan for your business. Consider seeking out advice from a financial advisor or an accountant to ensure your business is financially healthy. You guys, I'm going to share a personal story. And this is where the vulnerability kicks in for me, because I do not share this story, but I feel like it's very important here because I want to encourage someone that, especially during challenging times, it is so important to have these things in order. I thought that I did have these things in order when I was going through my challenging time because I had trusted tax professional, an accountant with these things, right? To keep me informed, to keep me abreast of what's going on, right? That didn't happen. And I'm paying for it dearly. And so this is why you need to have these things in place. Because what I recognize is because I was trusting in someone else so much with my finances that I wasn't as in tune. I wasn't plugged in as much as I should have been because I trusted them to do their part, right? And they didn't. And so it added on to an already stressful time. But if I would have taken care of this before I got into a challenging time, I would have been able to catch things a lot sooner. versus while I'm in the midst of something and now I need it and it's not available, the resources aren't available to me because now I have to pay for someone else's mistake because I'm not taking the blame for it. But if I was more tapped in before my challenging time, I would have caught things a lot sooner. I would have caught things a lot sooner and I would have been able to mitigate those issues a lot quicker and held the person responsible. But during a challenging time, it's really hard to focus on money and finances. So things will fall through the cracks. So I'm telling you this now to pay attention to that now before you get into those challenging times and setbacks and losses. I'm experiencing that right now with my finances. But praise God that I've been able to find a new tax professional to help me get from under that entanglement with my finances. And so I'm now more involved with my finances. I'm more financially literate. And that way, learning how to prioritize my financial stability. And so here's one of the action items I want you to do for strategy 9. I want you to schedule a financial review session with your professional to evaluate your current position and plan for a sustainable climb. That was one of the things that I didn't do. So I'm telling you these things from my lessons learned while I was going through a lot of emotional turmoil. I could not see straight. I could not think straight. And it took on a life of its own. Like I said, I'm paying for it daily, literally. And I don't want that to be any of you all's experience. Not knowing your financial situation, not being financially literate, not being financially aware. Making sure that you ask questions of your professionals. Make sure you know what your money is doing, where it's going, right? Make sure that, like, with the experience that I went through is that, like, I won't belabor it, but basically, like, the money, my taxes wasn't being prepared properly. My taxes weren't being sent off, even though I was told that they were. And I had to pay all that money back, right? Because they didn't do their part. They didn't do their job of submitting my taxes, right? Because of that, it takes away from other things that I need to do, right? But I have a responsibility to pay back those obligations. And so it is one of those things that if you don't pay close attention to your taxes, those things will catch up to you. I thought that, again, like I said, we trust professionals to do their job, but it's our job to provide oversight, right? So I would never fully, like, if they say that's what they doing, for me, I'm going to make sure that they actually do it, right? It's not enough to tell me that you're doing something with my finances. I need to see that thing, okay? So I want you to make sure you schedule your financial review session to evaluate your current position. A lot of us don't like to look at our money. We don't like to know where our money is going, but we need to know where our money is going. We need to know where it is. We don't like numbers. That's cool. But you still need to know them, okay? You still got to know them. I want you to be able to prepare by revisiting your budgets and setting clear financial milestones. This is not just for business, but this is in your life too. Make sure that you are revisiting your budgets and setting clear milestones. If not monthly, quarterly. It's so important. Because when you can see where your money goes, that will help you know how you want your money to grow, right? So I just want to put that out there. It's kind of like one of my biggest lessons learned was my financial stability during my time of loss. It really is so important. This is like probably one of the number one strategies I want you to like keep at the top of your list of implementing is really looking down and drilling down through your finances. All right, the last strategy here is seek out support. This is so important, and it speaks to, right? It speaks to just what it says, seek out support. I want you to consider seeking out support from professional services. Just like I mentioned before, making sure you're reaching out to professionals. And if it don't feel good, then don't do it. Depending on your needs, this can include legal, financial, and marketing services. Growing a business is challenging. Nobody never really told me how hard entrepreneurship was. And if you're new to entrepreneurship, do not let this deter you. I want to make sure that we just level set and be realistic about it, right? Growing a business, the right professionals can support you in helping you to navigate the complexities and challenges you'll face. There are amazing professionals, but you have to do the work to vet them out for yourself and what you need, okay? It's so important when building, growing, and scaling your business. So here's your strategy 10 action item. I want you to identify one area where expert guidance can make your ascent smoother. And I want you to reach out to that professional. And when we think about our mountain climbing example, this professional is your Sherpa, right? I hope I'm saying that right. SHERPA, Sherpa. In that field. And I want you to do that this month. And to be honest with you, the professional might be a therapist. We might need a therapist in this season to help us handle all of this setbacks, challenges, and losses that we're facing, right? Building, growing, and scaling a business is a challenging journey, but you can't overcome these setbacks with the right strategies. I encourage you to stay focused on your goals, embrace failures as learning opportunities, and stay adaptive and open-minded to remain competitive. I want you to surround yourself with a solid support system or community, right? Cultivate a positive mindset is so important, so key. And prioritize your financial stability, right? Because we want to see our money grow. We want to build a legacy. We got to stay on top of our finances. And although I wasn't taught about finances, the older I get, the more I'm in tune with them. So although I wasn't taught about finances growing up, I'm doing everything that I can to learn about them. So I want to encourage you all to do the same. Don't be afraid. Know where your money is going. Your journey might be challenging, but the view from where you want to be, baby, listen. The achievement of your dream, why can't I say it? The achievement of your dreams is unparalleled. Top tier. I want you to keep climbing and remember every step forward is a step upward. Go and be great. I'm so proud of y'all. All right, until next time.